Hi, I'm Vanessa Lee, registered nurse, top aesthetic injector, and a trusted authority in the world of beauty and skincare.
I'm Nurse Janet, aesthetic nursing director at The Things We Do, and trainer and mentor to new and future injectors. Welcome to the podcast. Join us as we cover all the things we do for beauty, weird shit included.
This episode is sponsored by The Things We Do. Come visit our locations in downtown LA, Venice, Chino Hills, Beverly Hills, and coming soon in Oahu. You can also inquire about our appointments and get a feel of what we do through our IG and TikTok at thethingswedo.co, or simply stroll on into the beauty bar and pick up all of your skincare essentials. We want to hear from you. Please send us a DM on our IG at thethingswedo.co with your questions and comments, and we will be choosing a listener to shout out and have their questions answered on upcoming episodes. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Vanessa.
We're back. We took a little break. So what's changed since last time? Well, it's the year 2024, the year of our Lord.
That's
right?
what you said last time, too.
it's like one of those things that I always interject. Okay, so it's 2024. It's officially the year of the dragon.
Year of the dragon. It's going to be a good one. That's what you told me.
Yeah, and maybe I should rephrase, it's going to be a good one, because 2020, I was like, this is going to be a great one, and then 2020 happened, obviously. What I meant was, Year of the Dragon is known for, like, rebirth and,
cleansing?
Change. And you could cleanse in order to get ready for the big change that's happening.
Yeah.
So it's, like, really up to you and your life path where that change is going to move towards, you know what I mean?
What do you feel like your change is going to be?
Oh, we're diving into it. We're going
I just want to know.
Deep right now.
Because I thought about this.
I think I started working on it last year, where the radical change that I want to have happen in my life is to make more room for peace in my life. So I feel like now I'm 38 years old. I, started working in this industry 15 years ago. And I think appropriately, when you're younger and when you're in your 20s, you're constantly like pushing and building and you're just like running on fumes and you're going 100 miles per hour trying to build this life, and then you get into your 30s and that continues. And now that I'm closer to my 40s, I feel like, okay, let's take a breath. Let's take a look at the life that we've built, the life that I've created with, my personal relationships and my professional relationships and my work life. And let's just appreciate what we've done, and let's lean into the peace a little bit more, and maybe let's take it easy, because life and work and all of that stuff always goes on. It's always going to be there, but I really want to work on not just being present, but like really savoring every moment that I have right now with my kids and with my husband. And I've also had this relationship talk with my girlfriends recently about how, like, where we are with each other friendship wise and where we are in our lives, all of that stuff. Like, we're going to be entering our 40s soon, and like our 30s went like that, like so quick. And it was so fun. I love being in my 30s. But our 40s are going to be popping off in a second.
Yep.
And we need to mentally and emotionally and, be able to prepare ourselves for this next really fantastic journey of this next decade. And I want to go into it with the plan. So I started that end of last year, which is really, being more mindful of what I pay attention to, because at the end of our lives, I truly believe, and wow, this is the intro, by the way. At the end of our lives, I truly believe that we're never going to look back and say, damn, I wish I would have taken that meeting and made more money.
Yep.
I wish I would have done that one more, Instagram, TikTok post. I think we're going to look back always. And I've spent the last moments of some of my family members' lives, like with them as, they were about to pass. I always know what we want to have in those last moments is some peace, that we spent enough time with our loved ones, that we have love in our lives and all of that stuff. So that's really what I want to lean into in 2024 and for the rest of my life. And I will say, work has been so much more enjoyable because of my outlook changing and focusing on like the root of what I want in life, and for everyone surrounding me, is to experience more happiness and more peace and joy, and to just,
I love that,
like savor things a bit more, right? Like, I think technology was able to, and I'm so thankful for it, was able to blow up our business and blow up our careers in such a magnifying and quick way that now that I know what can be done, I'm satisfied with it. And I'd also like to preserve some more things. You know what I mean?
I agree.
What about you, Miss Janet?
I feel like I'm on the total opposite side of that.
And we're just in different seasons.
I feel like for me, because of everything like in the past few years, now I feel like I'm finally at the point where I want to like dive into work, which is crazy to say that because I feel like every year I've been diving into work, but I feel different. I feel like this time I'm more focused, like I'm more laser focused, but then also I feel like I'm okay saying no to a lot more things when it comes to my professional career. I say no to a lot of things that don't serve me, and I don't want to be like a yes girl, and that gives me time and energy to focus on the things that I need to focus on when it comes to work.
Yeah.
Also, the kids are older. They're easier to manage, I moved, which is great, so I'm a lot closer to everyone and everything, work included. So I feel like it's a lot easier for me to
Which
put
is so
energy.
valuable in Southern California. I feel like when you're closer.
If I could get even closer, I would, honestly, if I could. But then I also just feel like that extra time that I have at home in the morning or after work when I get home, it gives me time to like not to like focus on work, but to just relax. And then when I'm at work, I'm there. I'm able to be more present.
Yeah.
And then maybe in the next few years, who knows, then I'll be more at peace with everything else.
No, I think we're at the same, I think we have the same goal. Like, I don't want to work less. But my mind frame is different. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just a little bit more focused. And you're right, the same thing. Like, I don't want to say yes to everything. When you're building your life, mind you, if you're in your first years of injecting and you're trying to build in this career, your ass better be saying yes to everything. You better say yes. Like, you've got to prove yourself, and you've got to be willing to learn, and you've got to show up, and you've got to do things that you don't have to do when you're 15 years into your career, and that's okay. That's how you prove yourself, and that's how you build yourself. That's normal. But I get it. You're at a point where you have to be much more choosy with your opportunities.
Absolutely.
With where you spend your free time.
Yeah.
What you pay attention to. Are we still scrolling 2 hours before bed on TikTok? No. Or are we doing something else that serves us in the future? Like that kind of stuff is what I've been trying to work on too. By the way, this episode is going to be about getting to know us more. This episode is about getting to know us more. We're going to be asking a few more in-depth questions. You guys kind of know already. Well, if you've listened to previous seasons, Janet and I have already discussed how we got into aesthetics, our journey of how we became cosmetic injectors, our careers within the things we do. And this episode is a little bit more about getting to know us.
Our goals, kind of where we see ourselves in the next few years and what our growth looks like in the next few years when it comes to our careers, right?
Yeah, and like stuff on our bucket list and words of wisdom that we've collected over time and stuff that we can share with you and hopefully, make some kind of like small impact in finding more peace within your journey and career. So I think we can go ahead and get started.
Let's dive into it.
So first I'd like to talk about how we integrate our passions into our daily lives. And maybe we don't integrate them daily, but how we integrate our passions. So what is your passion? I mean, I don't know, you might have 5 of them.
No.
What are your passions and how do you integrate them into your daily life so that it's not this monotonous work, go home and post and find some free time?
I feel like I have like 2. The main one that comes to mind is educating and teaching. And when I know, like, for me, I love educating and teaching at work. So, I always ask you if I can get like a hands-on role in beauty theory whenever we have new staff and I feel like they need a little bit more assistance. I always want to jump in and train them. But then when I'm at home, because Easton started school, I like to take on the homework role. And I mean, it's so hard, but I think...
When you say homework role...
Like, I want to help him with his homework. It's so... Yeah. It's so bad, but...
Well, that's like my weakness as a mother.
I mean, we don't do great, but...
No, the kids... First of all, my 6th grade son is doing like... They have them, I guess, do really intense math in the 6th grade now. God. I don't even remember doing math in the 6th grade. Yeah. I remember like times table and like minute math and stuff like that. Division, multiplication. But he's doing like trig, pre-cal things. And I'm like, is it cal or calc? See, that's I don't even know. And he's like... He'll ask me a question and I'm like, why don't we let's look into this a little bit later with your father because I have no idea.
Isn't he also in debate?
He's in debate. He's a chess master. He's like all these things.
There's some of them you just can't. You know, I'm at that point where it's like our sight words. I, like, me, my, with, what. So
Love that
I
stuff.
bought note cards, like colored note cards.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I think I was meant to be a teacher because I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger.
Really? I didn't know that.
I wanted to be a teacher when I was younger. I love teaching. I would always play, like, I'd always buy a whiteboard from the 99-cent store.
Wow.
And my brother and my sister would sit and they'd be my students. So now it makes so much sense to me.
I had no idea.
Yes, because also my other passion is working out. I love working out now. And I feel like working out is one thing. You have to, like, muster up the physical and mental strength to go.
Yes.
But, like, now when
Which
I film,
can never do.
Oh God. Now when I, like, film my workouts, I will, like, post it and, like, my patients will tell me, oh my gosh, I feel like I watched your workouts and I learned so much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Janet, when do you ever stop teaching? When do you ever stop?
Teaching and educating. And then obviously you educate through beauty theory, through our courses. You're also, you know, constantly educating every day, I feel like, with our providers
and
in
our
your
patients.
aesthetic director role and the patients. Do you ever get to the point where you're like, I don't want to teach anybody anymore. This has been a lot throughout the week.
Yes. I mean, I think I told you, like, a couple weeks ago, I said I just want to turn my phone off, you know, and that's not realistic sometimes, but sometimes it is. Sometimes we're lucky in our role where I can lean on you and say, hey, I just need to put the brakes on this for a sec, like take the weekend. If they need anything, can they reach out to you? And I feel like that works really well for me. But there are some times where I just don't want to educate because I don't feel like I'm giving it even like 80%. And I feel like that's a disservice to the person on the receiving end. But most of the time, I'm okay with it. Most of the time. Yeah. What about you?
My passion, so I found from a younger age that my passion is connecting with women. That's really it. So just like connecting and talking. So what's really nice is that
that's all.
I get to do that every day in the room. So I love to connect with women and I love to make people feel better about themselves. Like I really love revealing what makes you magical that maybe you might not be able to see yourself. I really, really love being able to be a part of that process for people because I don't know, maybe this is my Aquarius side or only child side. I find that watching people is so fascinating. Watching people just do like mundane everyday things, like I think is so cute and so special.
Do you people watch?
I do. I've always done this since like junior high. I've always done this. I used to drive to LAX before things were like crazy. Like when I was like 18, 19, I would just drive to LAX and try to like go around the loop finding couples saying bye to each other. Like weird, you know, like creepy stuff now. I feel like, now I would never have the patience nor time to do any of that weird stuff.
At LAX.
But like I've always really been interested in making sure that this person needs to know how special this moment is. Like I wish I could just like send it to them and like make a little movie for them so that they can have it forever because that moment has like touched me, right? So now it's not that magical every time I meet a patient. It's not like that serious, but I do love connecting with people. And when I hear something that's said, you know, by a patient that really resonates with me, that I think is so special and that they might not know how, important that little snippet of life might have been, like I say, let's wait, what you said was really important. Can I just repeat that back to you? And so injecting is really just a vehicle for me to find magical moments and really spit that back out into the world. That's like my thing. And I find that when I don't focus on those things, and that's what I mean by like really savoring the moment, when I'm going through the motions and like, okay, my schedule is overloaded today. I'm back to back. I'm going to be running like an hour behind. And then it's all about the tasks and just, you know, what's in front of me. That's when I find that like life loses its magic for me. So I have to really slow myself down and see my patient for who they are. And like, of course, do the treatment with safety as like the paramount, you know, objective always, but also what's this artistry about? What is this connection about? All of that. And that's why I feel like it's so enjoyable. I think when people get burnt out in our industry so quickly because it becomes
task oriented.
Yeah. And it just is like a mill at a certain point and you stop seeing your patient as like a full human who has all of these experiences. So that's a passion of mine. Also, a new passion has been pickleball.
Yeah, I heard.
I pickle every second I am able to. Kenny knows I've bought like all these outfits that it's ridiculous because you could just put on leggings and a sweater and go play pickleball. I have all of these like cute little tennis outfits, and I have my own like, you know, paddle, and I, you know, ended up like getting lessons on how to serve properly because I can rally, but your girl's serve is needing some work.
And so you're doing like a pickleball tournament.
We're doing a pickleball tournament. You know, Shani Darden, she's, you know, doing a whole tournament for International Women's Day on March 8th. Love that. So look out for that because I plan to dominate. Yeah, so I guess that's been really fun for me too. As far as pickleball, I don't integrate that into my everyday life.
That's just like a fun sport, I feel like.
Yeah,
I would like that.
I feel like passions are not, it's okay, you guys, if you're not able to integrate your passions every day into your life. Like there's moments and there's seasons for things, and that's fine. Like maybe one week you're really good at leaning into your passion, and then you don't get to do that for the next 6 weeks because life takes over and you need to deal with those things.
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't feel the pressure of every day I need a moment to journal. Every day I need a moment of, it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. We're all on a floating rock in outer space.
Words of Wisdom by Vanessa Lee. Speaking of words of wisdom.
Yeah, let's talk let's talk about words of wisdom. Yes. So I'm really interested in, personally, what do you feel like has been a profound, you know, pearl for you, words of wisdom that's really helped you out in your personal life and then in work life?
Well, like I said earlier when we were talking about this episode, I said, Vanessa, I feel like all the words of wisdom I know come from you.
but not for me. I'm just a collection of like...
She'll pick up on words of wisdom probably from someone else.
From patients, from just old people that I start talking to at IKEA.
Yes,
like,
and then I talk to you, and then I'll usually, when I talk to Vanessa, it's like, once every couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Like, we'll talk, and then it'll be a mix of, like, me dumping my issues on her, and then, like, my professional role. I think the one bit that I've been really holding on to probably the past 3 months is, and you said it just the other day, how did you say? You say it a lot better than I do, but you can't be 100% of like everything at one time. So if you're like 100% in your mom role, then your work role kind of falls short. And then when you're like 100% in nurse mode or aesthetic nursing director mode, then the mom role kind of falls short. So I feel like that's worked really well for me, especially because my time with my kids is so limited now. So, you know, I only get them like 50% of the time. So when my kids are with me, then I'm like, you know what? The phone goes down. They're not going to see me on my screen. Yeah, the views and the insights on my Instagram and TikTok aren't great, but I'm going to miss them when they're gone.
Yeah.
And then when they're with their dad, it's great because then I...
Full throttle
work.
Posting, working, educating.
Yep, and I talk to them, but I don't need to physically be available to them. So at first I would feel really guilty. So like on my days where I wouldn't have them, I would just be like, oh yeah, let me just come see them. Let me come pick them up. And then I would feel so guilty because work fell short. But now it's like I found that balance and I'm like, Janet, you have to utilize that time when they're not with you to like really dive into work, answer the emails, come up with content so that when you're with them, that kind of stuff can fall to the back burner. And I feel a lot more at peace about it. Like it's less guilt and a lot more peace. So I always remember what you said, and that's kind of what I hold on to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like work and
personal life. And it's but think about it, that like those words apply to everything. So like
yeah, you're right.
Days when I'm a really good girlfriend, my mom's like, you forgot about us.
Oh.
The guilt.
The mom guilt.
You forgot about us. And I was like, no, Mom, I'm just busy.
Our mother's placing guilt on us.
Yes. Yeah. And then the days where I'm at my mom's a lot, then my boyfriend will be like, oh, okay, like, am I gonna see you? Do you want to work out? And I'm like, oh, I'm at my mom's house, you know, because they need my attention as well.
Yeah.
But the same thing applies to everything. So now everyone kind of knows, like, if I'm with you, you have my full attention. But when I'm not with you, that's okay too. It's also taught me to set boundaries, which is... I used to hate that word. Now I understand it.
Why did you hate it?
I just felt like everyone used it as an excuse.
Yeah.
Everyone would use it as an excuse. Boundaries.
It was like one of those buzzwords for a moment.
Yes. And then once I actually started...
you were like, oh, wow.
Setting up boundaries.
This is actually life gold.
It makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, I have to set up boundaries with everyone. But yeah, I feel like those words of advice, they apply to everything. All your relationships.
What's been the most profound boundary that you've set up in the past year or two?
I think it's, again, me saying no to a lot of things. I've always been a yes girl. So now it's like, if I can't go, I'm not going to bend over backwards to go. If I don't want to show up to even like someone's like bridal shower, baby shower, usually I'll be like, yes, I'll do it. And then it'll take away time from like me spending time with my kids or my family. And then I feel so guilty at the end of it. And I'm like, Janet, why did you do that? Just to please someone else, just so you don't hurt their feelings. And now you're sitting here with this guilt. So I feel like that's been the strongest thing for me, is saying no. And it's so uncomfortable. Because
saying no?
Think about it. Like when we say no, we're like, no because I have to do this. So I started saying no and not giving an excuse. Because no is no.
That's the key.
No is no. Like that's, I don't need to give you a whole laundry list of why I can't make it.
When I miss a meeting, or when I I'm not able to make something that previously I committed to, and of course, I'm able to, for most of the time I'm able to let someone know ahead of time that I won't be able to make it. I never give an excuse of like, oh, I can't make it because it's just been the craziest day, and so ended up dropping by, and then my mom or whatever. It's like, I'm so sorry, I won't be able to make it.
That's it.
Period. And I find that the person also doesn't care about all the drama. They just need to know who's coming to the dinner and who's not. It. You know what I mean?
And some people won't like it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. And so I can tell everyone.
Or for work, if someone's like, can I have, can I have this day off? Can I have, whatever. Like, I feel like having to explain every single time, like work policies, all of that, like sometimes it's yes and sometimes it's no. Yeah. And that's just the way life goes. Yeah. That's fine. I feel like that's a really important boundary that I feel like this next generation, who's after us? Gen Z? It's millennial then Gen Z, right?
I have no idea how this order goes.
Gen Z, I don't even know what I am. Because
they're good at it.
I think they watched the millennials say yes too much, and they were like,
wait, which one is Gen Z?
Gen Z is the younger ones. They're like right after us. Are you Gen Z?
No, I
know you're younger than me.
I'm 32.
How old am I? Oh, 38. Are you a millennial? I think you're a millennial.
I think I'm a millennial.
Oh, okay, you're like the
1992.
Younger
I think I'm a millennial.
Got it. Yeah. So the generation after us is much better at saying no. Almost no too much. You guys need to say yes more.
No, I have cousins where if I had to miss a family event, I never missed a family event. Yeah. Like I had to go. My mom would not let me.
Right, disgrace.
And I have cousins where we'll go to family events like weddings, and I'll be like, oh, where's so and so? It's like they just couldn't make it. And I look at my mom and I'm like, do you see this? They don't even. No excuse given.
Is it good for them? Like, good for them.
They're not at that family event, so yeah, it is pretty good for them. Yeah, so I feel like they just do right. They don't give any excuse. Their parents are like, "This is what it is." Yeah,
it's a fine line, right?
Yeah,
I'm almost
balance.
like I'm envious that they learned that lesson sooner.
Yeah, I wish.
Okay, that's great. Words of wisdom that I've collected professionally that I think is so important for everyone to understand and encompass in your, cosmetic injector career is actually from Dr. Steve Yolen, who is our medical director. He told me early on in my career, Vanessa, we call ourselves in this industry, and I think I've told you this, we call ourselves in this industry artists, right? Like, oh, you have this artistry, it's an artistic thing that we do. It's like, so important to be able to see all of these nuances. He was like, at the end of the day, are we truly artists? I don't know. He goes, I don't know. Like, there's really only so many changes we can make, right? And we have these specific anatomical guidelines that we have to go by, and you can only add so much in certain areas. Like, it's not that serious. At the end of the day, what makes you a great provider is how you treat your patients. And he said, just be good to your patients. Like, treat them how you would want your mom to be treated when you're not around in a doctor's office. Like, think about someone who's more vulnerable. Always be good to them. Do right by your patients, and you will have a very successful career. And thank goodness, I was able to get this information very early on in my career. I think Dr. Yolen probably told me that, maybe back in 2010, maybe the end of 2009. And I was so thankful for that because it made me realize my focus shouldn't be on every technical aspect. All of that stuff is helpful, but my focus should be on, this is a living, breathing person in my chair, and how do I take care of them, and how do I make sure that I do the most right by them possible. Absolutely. Because that's what I want them to remember. And it's paid off because at a point in my career when I was working full time, I was booked out like a year and a half. And patients were, and this is when I was like, practicing back in like a little you know, 800 square foot tiny spot, and it was like me and one doctor, like in Chino, like years and years and years ago. I remember I was like so booked out, and a patient had seen another provider and who, you know, I didn't work with, and ended up coming back to see me months and months later. And I was like, oh, hi, I haven't seen you in a while. It's great to see you again. And she was like, you know, I'm so sorry, but I ended up cheating on you. I went to go to another provider. I hope that's okay. And I was like, we all have choices in life. It's fine.
That's
and I
fine.
understand. She was like, you were just so booked out. And I was like, I completely understand. So you went to go see that other provider. How was your experience? And she was like, it was great. I mean, you know, the work was good. I feel like it was really natural. And I was happy for the most part. And I was like, oh, great. So
What's up?
yeah, I was like, so, you know, just curious, so happy to have you back here, but why are you back here if this provider was wonderful and their schedule is more open? And she was like, well, it wasn't what you and I have, you know, like what we have is special. And I was like, oh yeah. Like, I was like, wait, what are you talking about? And then I realized what, you know, it came back to my frontal lobe, what Dr. Steve Yolen was talking about, like the way you treat people, they always remember that. Like, sure, a lip flip is nice, but like when
We can teach a lip flip.
you can always teach, anybody can do a lip flip, but it's the way you make that person feel, and that means so much more in this industry, especially where there are so many offices that are just like, you know, taking advantage of people's insecurities. So that was really big for me. Words of wisdom in my personal life, I think it really is there's so many. I think because like there's so many.
I see the
to
words
me,
like in your head, like a matrix screen.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is really just like listening to that Flaming Lips song, Do You Realize? That really grounds me. Do you realize we're floating in space?
You always say that we're on a floating rock in the middle of space.
And that's where it's from. Like I don't remember the first time I heard the Flaming Lips song, but I think I was 18. And you guys have to listen to the song. And I know that a lot of you have listened to this song, but
really
think of it in the
words.
context. Listen to the words and think of it in the context of now, you know, being an older woman who has like experienced life in so many ways that you didn't when you were a teen or like in college listening to this song, because the lyrics are, you know, do you realize everyone you know is going to die? Do you realize that we're all floating in space? Do you realize like none of this really matters?
None
you
of
know?
it, I
And
know.
all of it matters at the same time. It's like all relative. So for me, it changed my perspective of like, you know, when people tell you their problems, and when you have problems, it can seem so huge while it's happening. And rightfully so, it's your experience, right? And then you realize that in the next year, in the next like 2 years, maybe even in the next like 3 months, it's going to be okay again.
It's not going to matter as much.
And it's not going to matter as much. And also that little blip is going to take you to this next portion of your life. And then it's going to make sense in 6 months. You just can't see it right now. So it's all going to be okay. That's probably been my biggest thing.
I love that one.
Also, this podcast, which is probably so depressing to bring up, but there was this podcast that I was listening to called Invisibilia. And it's a podcast about like psychology and like, you know, human thoughts and experiences and all of that stuff. And they talked about how there was one episode, and I don't even remember what the purpose of the episode was. I just remember the story. It's a true story of this boy who, unfortunately, when he was 11 years old, ended up getting a terrible case of meningitis, and they, at the hospital, gave him the wrong diagnosis. So they didn't give him the proper therapeutics or, you know, medications and interventions. And he ended up becoming a person in a vegetative state for 13 years. So from the time of 11 plus 13 years, I don't know what that time is.
20.
Who knows? Who knows what that trigonometry is? He was not able to communicate, and he fully was just cognizant in his mind having all of these thoughts and was not able to verbally or physically communicate that to anyone in his life. Until one day, 13 years after this whole incident happened, he was, his nurse realized that like with certain eye movements he was like tracking, and then asked him, can you, if look to the side or something like that. It wasn't
Oh my
about blinking
gosh.
because he couldn't control the blinking quite yet, but like look to the side if you can understand me. And then that tiny bit of connection and like just paying attention, from that point within 6 months, he was able to start communicating and all of that. And nobody
Oh
around
my
him knew, not his parents,
gosh.
anyone. So I think about stuff like that and I'm like, wow, what I'm going through today is really tough. Also,
Life
there are
could
things
be-
that are fucking tough.
Yes.
And then there are things that I think are tough right now. And it's going to be okay. And it's not going to be 13 years of nobody hearing my voice. It's going to be, I'll be able to advocate for
Yes.
myself and I will be fine. So, yeah, stuff like that.
That's a good one. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious, you guys. It's all
Honestly.
good. We hope that you take some of these pearls and know that cosmetic medicine is definitely it's medicine. And we always say this at the things we do, it's the softer side of medicine. It is to be taken seriously. But at the end of the day, if you feel like you are so stressed and trying to make your career blow up, or if you feel like the complications that you possibly have to prepare for one day that might happen, managing those complications are wearing on your mental health, it's just not worth it, you guys.
Yeah.
Like reevaluate those things. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your career, enjoy your life, enjoy your patience, because we're all out here on a rock. Shout out Flaming Lips. You guys go to a concert. Are they still together? I don't know.
I don't know.